HIT. So, where do we begin? First, we're going to talk about how successful people think. Success is relative, meaning that it means different things to different people. One person, it could be reaching a mountaintop in their career, in their field. For someone else, it could be as simple as going one day without doing a particular habit. Success is something that most people hope to obtain in their lifetime. Success is something that is abstract, but yet we spend a lot of our youth and our lifetimes trying to be successful at something or trying to be noticed as successful by others. So one day I picked up this book, How Successful People Think. And I thought to myself, seems simple enough. How do they think? And so at one point in the beginning of this year, I worked very diligently on reading a book a month in a physical form and also through audiobooks. I lost count of how many books that I jumped into. Some I finished, some I didn't finish, but I could say I finished maybe around 9 to 10 books. Okay, so the thing about how successful people think was I related to various chapters in the book. And so I'm going to jump into some of the key things that I pulled from the book. One quote is, good thinking can generate revenue, solve problems, and create opportunities. It can take you to a whole new level, personally and professionally. It can really change your life. Things you need to know about changing your thinking. 1. Change thinking is not automatic. 2. Change thinking is difficult. 3. Change thinking is worth the investment. Wow, that's a mouthful. Change thinking can generate revenue. It can solve problems and create opportunities. Good thinking can do these things. And I thought to myself, wow, that's so true. We all want to make more money. We all want to solve problems that exist in our life. And we all want to create new opportunities for ourselves. The problem is, change thinking is not automatic. So we struggle with things. We say we want to do something, we work at it, we struggle. There's no progress without struggle. Change thinking is difficult. We fail at things. Sometimes it makes us question ourselves. It makes those that love us question us. We question others because we see that they could be trapped in a certain cycle. Change thinking is worth the investment. It takes time in order to change your thinking. How to become a better thinker. 1. Expose yourself to good input. What do you take in on a daily basis? What information do you digest? With social media, we are exposed to a plethora of ideas that are not our own. We're exposed to a plethora of society's woes and triumphs on a daily basis, just from our tablet, our computer, or our cell phone. For example, right now I'm doing this video. This video may or may not get viewership, but I can guarantee you for those that's watching it, they're somewhere else in another city, in another state, in another country perhaps, just by a click of a button. and being connected to the World Wide Web. So if you're watching this, congratulations. I hope to be giving you some good information so that you can receive good input. 2, expose yourself to good thinkers. Now, that could be a challenge in itself because everything is not what it seems. So you have to expose yourself to good thinkers if you want to become a better thinker. 3, choose to think good thoughts. Choose to think good thoughts. 4, act on your good thoughts. 5, allow your emotions to create another good thought. 6, repeat the process, which is 1, expose yourself to good input. 2, expose yourself to good thinkers. 3, choose to think good thoughts. 4, act on your good thoughts. 5, allow your emotions to create another good thought. 6, repeat the process. Now, when I repeat the process, I always tell myself, change thinking is not automatic. Change thinking is difficult. Change thinking is worth the investment. Okay. What's the next step? Putting yourself in the right place to think. The author talks about putting yourself in the right place to think. For me, this is the environment that I'm in right now. I like this chair. I like having my stand next to me. I have a candle lit, have nice lighting. I have my tablet in front of me, I have my cell phone in front of me. And even if I wanted to just relax for a second, I have books around me. I have peacefulness, it's quiet. You can't see this, but I have some artwork that I purchased on my wall. On the other side of my room, I have some more artwork that I got commissioned while in Cuba. And it commemorates my brother and my father who passed away. And so this is a good place to think. Now, you would know it, but earlier today, I had to clean up my room. I had to put things in order because I wasn't in a good place to think. I went to sleep. My room was a little messy. I woke up and I said, you know what? Christmas is over. The holidays is over. I had to put myself in a good position to think. Christmas was wonderful, but we all know Christmas could be a little messy. So I had to put myself in a good position to think. 2, find a place to shape your thoughts. Find your place where you can shape your thoughts. Now, when I'm driving on the road, that's a good place for me to think. You know, you have no choice but to think when you're driving extended hours. 3, find a place to stretch your thoughts. The author says the right thought plus the right people in the right environment at the right time for the right reason equals the right result. The right thought plus the right people in the right environment in the right time to the right for the right reason equals the right result. Now, that in itself is a mouthful. The author also has another quote that I like that I pulled from it. He says, those who develop the process of good thinking can rule themselves even while under an oppressive rule or in other difficult circumstances. Good thinkers are successful. And then he goes into why you should change your thinking. Okay, that's important because going into the new year, exiting this year, we all have heard of the New Year's resolution. Or you may have things that you want to accomplish in the new year. We all should have short-term goals and long-term goals. Some long-term goals are just too big of a mountain or a hill for us to climb at one time. And I know that I'm very guilty of wanting things to happen too quickly. It takes time. It takes patience. You have to work on it diligently. You have to give yourself to your goal. Short term. It's good to create short term goals when you want to accomplish what it is you're seeking. So, remember that change thinking is not automatic. Change thinking is difficult. Change thinking is worth the investment. So whatever your goal is for the new year, I want to let you know that you can accomplish it. It may be difficult, but it is worth the investment. And oftentimes, when we have a goal, we have to change certain things about ourselves. We have to give certain things up in order to get the things that we want. In business, they call that an opportunity cost. So, segueing into the second part of this video and what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about my short-term goal, which I would say is a 12-month goal. And then I would talk about my goal for the following year, and then the third year. So, what has been intriguing to me and fascinating to me lately, and when I say lately, I should say the last 2.5, 3 years, is transitioning from living in the United States to start spending extended time overseas. Now, I don't want to move overseas simply for party and fun, or because I think that living outside of the United States will solve all of my problems. I'm proud to be an American. My father served this country honorably. My brother served this country honorably. My uncle, grandfathers, great uncles, etc. So I love America. I'm proud to be an American. My ancestry in Louisiana can be traced back over 200 years in America, documented. The family church that I grew up in was built in 1862. The graveyard that's there commemorates people such as my brother, my father, my aunt, my grandfather on my maternal side, his family, my grandmother's family. So I know where I'm from, and I have a pretty good idea of when I die where I'm going to be buried. With that said, I have reached a point where I could possibly say that I have lived a quarter of my life, or perhaps half of my life already. I don't know when I'm going to die. I know that I will die, and I do know that when I die, I will like to think that I live my life to the fullest. So I had made a list before of places that I would have liked to travel. Let me see if I could find that in my tablet. But anyway, while I search for that, I think that life is meant to be lived. How successful people think, because I wanted to travel and I wanted to do things that I probably wouldn't be able to do if I didn't better myself. I don't think I would be able to create revenue. I don't think I would be able to solve problems and or be able to create new opportunities for myself if I did not become more successful. Success to me, as on the simplest level, means to get what I want and need from life. If I can do that, I'm successful. So I have been fascinated with the idea of moving overseas, living in another country, and finding a way to balance life in the United States. I think that life in the United States is work oriented. We have a work culture in the United States. And I love that about it. But then sometimes it could become exhausting because we spend so much time working in the United States that it could be difficult to do anything else, to just live life, to just be human, to spend time with family, to get your health in order, to think. And when we see others not working and just enjoying life, sometimes as an American, we can look at it, we can view that with cynicism. So when I started traveling overseas, I noticed a different culture. Now, let me preface this that I have only lived in the Western Hemisphere. I've only traveled in the Western Hemisphere. So I'm still speaking about the West. The Caribbean, Latin America, those are my stomping grounds. That's where I like to travel to. In the future, I would like to go to the East, meaning Africa, the Far East, etc. So I think that the United States is just centered around work, and then I had to start one day like, man, we're working so hard. What if I didn't have to work so hard? What if I could just have a moment to breathe? A month, 2 months, 3 months, to regroup, to plan, to study, to live, to breathe. So when I went overseas, the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth time, each time the idea of living outside of the United States started to permeate. It started to grow in my mind that I could do this. So that brings me to my goal. How do I transform my current life into a life that could be lived internationally and nationally? This year, in my other video, I stated that I went overseas 3 times, and by the end of the year, I would say that I went overseas 4 times in 2023. So I think that one, if I wanted to live overseas, do I want to live semi-annually, like 6 months at a time, where I have to understand visas, taxes, job, what would I do for work there, these types of things. Okay, what happens if I get sick overseas? What happens if I die overseas? Who's going to take care of my son? How do I travel overseas while I'm still parenting? How do I pick the months? And then in the United States, if I still plan to work on in the United States, okay, do I work for 6 months? Do I work for 8 months and then go for 4 months? These type of questions just fire in my mind. So I had to find a good place to think. I had to calm down. I had to relax. I had to find a place to shape my thoughts. I had to find a place to stretch my thoughts. And I had to realize that change thinking is not automatic, that change thinking is difficult, and that change thinking is worth the investment. Then I had to find good input. I had to find other good thinkers, people who have already done what I'm trying to do, right? So I had to research that. Then I had to allow my emotions to create good thoughts. Then I had to act on those good thoughts. Then repeat. So I said, okay, I see how this book could help me, right? So I'm tying it all together. So one day I made a list. And I thought about, okay, I'm only getting older. My mom's getting older. She's uh, one of the most important people in my life and influential people in my life. My brother transitioned to the other side, my dad. So, the family is growing, but we lost key members of the family that can't be replaced. So, on one hand, I'm past my childhood. I'm in adulthood. And as I'm shaping what I want my world to be like as an adult, I do want a home for myself. I do want to leave a legacy that involves people that I've met and things that I've done, right? So, a long time ago, when I was much younger, I told myself that I wanted to go overseas. And I was really young when I said this and I did it. Then I remember finding out about this guy named Runako Rashidi, a Pan-Africanist who traveled to seemingly every country in the world. I used to binge watch his videos as a teenager. This guy was just so interesting to me. And he was from Los Angeles, and Runako Rashidi and Stanley Tuki Williams went to high school together, who ironically was a Nobel Prize laureate, but also the creator of the Crips. And so I was watching this video, I was like, wow, if this guy from Los Angeles, who grew up poor and in poverty could travel the world, I can do that too. I can experience the greater world as well. So I wrote a list down of countries and places I would like to go. Why not? Everything starts with a list. So I said, well, Brian, if you were to do this, where would you start from? So I said, well, you know what? Let's start in Europe. let's go to Europe first, right? Let's hit the countries. Let's start in the northern hemisphere of the United States, North America, and then let's go to Europe, Africa, all the other places, because I'm already going to hit Latin America and the Caribbean. That goes without saying. So I said, where would I go? I would start in New York. And then from New York, I would hit up Toronto, Canada. Then from Canada, I would venture off to the Netherlands, Amsterdam, Paris, France, and South France. Of course, I would hit the United Kingdom. I could do that while by the Netherlands, and Spain, Portugal, Turkey, Greece. I would like to hit up Morocco, Egypt, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal, and some other places in Africa as well. In the Far East, Thailand, Philippines, Japan, Cambodia, Vietnam. In Latin America, Nicaragua, Belize, Paraguay, Uruguay, Brazil, Colombia, and Venezuela. Chile as well, I would hit that up. And I thought about it, I said, okay, how many countries is there? So, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that's around 20. I added a few, so let's say 20, 25 countries. So then I Googled, how expensive would that be? I was like, man, maybe that's just so far-fetched. How could you afford that? Then I Googled traveling 20 countries in a year. YouTube flooded me with college kids, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, some older people that were considering retiring in other countries, and where did they travel to? And where were they going to retire to? So, roughly, it would take for a single person between $25,000 and spend $30,000 to travel to these 20 countries in a year's time. If you would travel with a spouse, I would say anywhere between 45,000. You would basically double it. Now, that includes visas, travel insurance, flights, where you would stay, food budget, and I will also keep an additional 10,000 for emergencies. And when I thought about it, I was like, wow, I was like, so wait a minute. So let's say $35,000. So then I did the math. I was like, okay, how much would 35? How long would I have to save to reach $35,000? Here's the luxury of being an American and being in a work culture. I could save $35,000 in a calendar. So I was like, well, Brian, if you save, $3,000 a month, or even $2,500 a month, you can do it. So then that's when it became realistic, when I made a plan. Then it went back to when I read in the book about good thinkers can create opportunities for themselves. That is nothing that you can't do if you just create a plan and then act on those feelings that you have and then go and do it. So I've always been a person who, when I put my mind to it or I say I want to do something, I do it. I may fail, not saying that I'm going to be successful at it, but I may fail, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a shot. And I think when you're in the process of doing it, you don't have time to be fearful. You don't have time to ponder too long about what if this doesn't work or this and that, And so my first year is knocking off my student loans. So in 2024, my goal is to knock off half of my student loans, right? Because at the end of the day, I want to create a better life for myself. So I have to knock off half of my student loans. I currently owe $60K on my student loans, right? So I could knock half of that off. Then in 2025, I knock off the remaining balance. So in 2 years, I'll be debt-free from student loans. Okay, boom. So there's 2 years. So there's 2 years of my life I have to be in service of knocking off my student loans. But that's the only debt that I owe. I don't have anything else that I owe. So once I knock off those student loans, I'm a free man, right? I'm free to, now every dollar that I earn is mine, right? When I get paid, is mine. So I currently have an investment account. I have an investment account through my insurance, and I invest. It fluctuates, but a base level I put $3,000 a year to $6,000 is the goal. But you know how life is. So I put a minimum $250 into my investment account. When things were really good and I had surplus money, I was putting $880 something into my investment account, which of course the more money I put in it, I seen it grow. So in the next calendar year, I plan to put at least $14,000-15,000 into my investment account in the coming year, for sure, because you never lose money that you're investing, right? Well, you can. I don't want to say that. You definitely can use it. There's no sure things out here, but you know what I mean. It's a dollar saved. A dollar saved is a dollar earned, right? You have to save for the rainy day. Okay. So my investment account, but the primary goal is the student loans. Knock off the student loans, and I really don't feel bad about paying it off. It's just something that has to be done. And until recently, I wasn't really making as much money. Well, I take that back. I've made money throughout my 20s. and so I probably could have paid it off. But it wasn't my main goal. It wasn't my focus. But now, you know, I do want to pay it off so that I have other things I want to do. I want to proceed with my life. Okay. So what happens after I pay off my student loans? Well, that's where the fun begins. Because once I pay off my student loans, then I can spend the next year or 2 years, the money that I earn can go towards my new life, the life that I'm building for myself, my adult life. So I would say 2 years to knock off the 60K, another 19 months after that, put up at least 60, 70. And then once I get to that point, take a break from work. That would be my time to take a year off. Take 6 months off at least. And just breathe, catch up, be human again. And the times like this year where I'm able to get away for a week, 2 weeks, something like that, that time is really refreshing. Because if you just work to just work to just work, it's really just not healthy. It's just, you can really overwork yourself. You have to find balance. Balance is key. Also, taking my son to explore the world. I think that reading a book is cool, but exploring the world and really experiencing the things that you read, tie things together, experiencing different cultures is really a beautiful. And I'm preparing my son to be a global citizen. I'm consider myself a global citizen, but I definitely like to plant the seed for him to where, going to another country would be normal to him. I want to normalize experiencing different cultures, and I also want him to have a strong base here in America as well, because that's important, as well as St. Lucia, the country that his mother is from. I want him to spend time in St. Lucia, and I think that that's important too because he has family there as well. So that's really what I wanted to make this video about. That's my plan for short term and long term. The book, How Successful People Think, really helped me tie that together. I'm still building on that. I've learned a lot over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and I am excited to live. I'm excited for life. I have a lot of things that I want to do before I die, and if I do these things, I think that I'll be satisfied when I'm gone, when I'm dead. I'll be happy that, well, you know what? No one said life was going to be perfect. Life could never be perfect, but I'll be happy that I live my life to the fullest. And I would like to be able to find a better work-home life balance, because I'm working so hard right now that I'm always away, for weeks at a time. But the plan is, as long as I am investing and building for my future and knocking down my debt, then it is all going to balance out, because on the back end, I'll be free. So I have an idea of what success means to me. And that's just one singular idea. If I was to put it in a box where I have family, career, self, health, and when we're living life, each one of these boxes sometimes becomes more important. Sometimes career, I think we're young, right? So career dominates those other boxes, right? We have to put a lot of work in. But then when you get older, after doing the right things with your money, your time, perhaps if we're lucky, we could have money to live, we could have the family to spend those years with. We would still have ourselves. We don't want to lose ourselves or our identity in the process of becoming what we aim to become, right? We don't want to lose our soul. We want to remain an individual, but at the same time, we want to be able to relate to the world and relate to others, especially in our world, right? Not necessarily the world, but in your own world. You want to, I would think that you will want to relate to those that mean the most to you. And health. What's the point of working so hard and building wealth and grinding day in and day out if the family's not good, if your health not good? You know, that doesn't seem like a good life. So I'm really thinking short term and long term. I hope it works out for you. And if it doesn't, I still had a beautiful life. It was still amazing. And I still have a plan B in the back pocket in case it doesn't go well, right? So, but if I succeed and do some of the things that I want to do, I'll be great. And I'll leave you with this quote. And it comes from Warren Buffett. And in the interview, he says that if you have 3 successful ideas in your lifetime, your life was a success. Peace.